We often think of being too nice as just a personality trait, right? Maybe even a good one. But what if I told you it's actually a super old survival tactic, hardwired into our brains? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the real psychology behind this. And trust me, it's about a whole lot more than just being kind. You know that feeling. Your mouth is saying, yeah, of course, no problem. But your gut is just screaming, no! On the outside, you look like the most helpful person in the world, but on the inside, it feels like you're totally betraying yourself. It's just an incredibly common and honestly really exhausting experience. And that, right there, is the core of what we're talking about today. This whole behavior isn't really a character flaw. It's more like a sophisticated, totally subconscious strategy. Your brain is literally using agreeableness as a shield to protect you from something it thinks is a threat. So let's actually give this thing a name and dig in. We're talking about a primal protective instinct that's getting triggered in our very modern, everyday lives. Yeah, there's a term for it. Psychologists call it the fawn response. We've all heard of fight or flight, right? Well, fawning is the third option. It's all about appeasing a potential threat. It's that moment when people-pleasing becomes your brain's automatic go-to move to shut down conflict and ultimately to stay safe. So the big question is, why? Why does our brain build this shield in the first place? Well, research points to 5 main psychological roots that really drive this behavior. So let's break them down one by one. First up, avoiding vulnerability. I mean, think about it. A real, genuine connection means you have to show your true self, your real thoughts, your real feelings, and that can feel incredibly risky. So by being constantly agreeable, you kind of keep all your interactions on the surface. It's a clever way to keep people from getting close enough to see, and maybe judge, the real you. The second reason is a huge one, a deep, primal fear of rejection. This is your brain's survival logic kicking into high gear. It's basically doing a calculation that goes something like this. If I never cause a problem, if I'm always useful, then they'll have no reason to get rid of me. It's all about trying to make yourself indispensable just to feel secure. And this brings us to a perfect case study. Let's call her Sarah, that coworker who always stays late to help. To everyone else, she seems like an absolute saint, but internally, her brain is on high alert. For Sarah, saying no isn't just a little awkward. It feels like she's sending out an invitation for a fight, and that conflict registers in her brain as a real threat to her safety and her sense of belonging in the group. Okay, our third root. This one often starts way back in childhood. If a kid grows up in a home where they hear a lot more criticism than support, they can start to believe that just being themselves isn't quite good enough. So they adapt. They learn to earn their spot, to earn that love, by becoming the useful, easygoing, pleasing one. Reason number 4 is just about pure emotional economics. It's about managing your energy. Look, if you're already feeling drained and running on empty, your brain flips into a kind of self-protection mode. It does the math and realizes that just agreeing is an energy-saving strategy. It's simply less work than risking the stress and total exhaustion of a potential fight. And finally, number 5. It really all comes down to boundaries. If you find yourself over-explaining for 5 minutes why you can't do something, or you feel this wave of guilt just for saying no, that's a huge sign. Psychologically, you're basically sending the message that you don't feel you have a right to your own needs. You're apologizing for even having limits. So this shield, it was designed to protect you. But what happens when the very thing that was meant to keep you safe becomes the thing that's weighing you down the most? And this, right here, this is the crucial twist. Back then, maybe in your childhood or a past situation, this behavior was a shield. And you know what? It worked. It helped you get through some really tough environments. But today, in a totally different context, that same exact shield becomes this heavy, heavy burden. It leads directly to emotional exhaustion, burnout, and relationships that just feel fake because they aren't based on who you really are. And I really, really want to hammer this point home. If any of this is resonating with you, it is not because you're weak or a fake person. Not at all. It's actually a sign of your incredible strength and adaptability. You were just using a survival strategy that has, frankly, outlived its purpose. So, what on earth do we do with all this knowledge? Well, the most powerful thing you can do to start is simply to understand it. Seriously, awareness is the beginning of any real lasting change.
And that awareness kind of builds into a pretty clear 3-step path forward. First, just recognize the pattern. Start noticing when and why it's happening. Second, reframe the feeling. Instead of jumping to guilt, see it for what it is, a learned survival response, not some deep personal flaw. And finally, you get to reclaim your peace. Start building connections based on who you are, not just what you can do for other people.
So, we'll end on this question. That shield was built to protect you. But now that you understand where it came from and what it's costing you, you get to decide. What truly needs your protection now? Is it your energy, your peace of mind, your authenticity? That, right there, that's where the real work begins.
If you want to dive deeper into the hidden psychology of why we do what we do, make sure to subscribe. Once you understand the why behind your behavior, you can finally start choosing how you want to live.